XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
This hockey season, before every game, check out the pregame show with Andrew Walker on Sports 1440. It's brought to you by Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products. Visit titansupply.ca.
Salvi Group is celebrating 50 years of building homes and communities, and we want to share the celebration with you. For a limited time during our 50/50 event, you'll enjoy 50% off select packages. That's special savings, select upgrades, and added value, all designed just for you. Build new or move in sooner at Hillshire. There's never been a better time to call Hillshire home. Celebrate with Salvi Group and enjoy 50 years, 50% off. Visit Hillshire today. Salvi Group, 50 years of craftsmanship, quality, and commitment.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Can you fit Sports Encyclopedia on a business card?
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Welcome to the Lowdown. Today's show, Oilers enter trade deadline week in a ball of confusion. There's little cap room, plenty of need, not much in the way of assets to trade. Oh my. Stan Bowman, you're on the clock. Godspeed. You need a miracle. The Lowdown brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Family-owned, community-driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. Welcome to the show. We are live on YouTube and Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, iHeartRadio, and Radio Player Canada. My headphones are over-modulated. Is there a way to turn them down? After the show, Apple and Spotify podcast, and we tweeted out on X, Twitter at Lowetide, at Declan Krueger, and at JFenwick04, also Mac McLennan as well. Text or call us 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Going to be a fun show today. I think there's going to be trades happening, lots of conjecture. We're going to have great guests. We have Rachel Krychak at 1240 to talk about the Edmonton Oilers, talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and what might be happening around the NHL at the deadline. And Jason Gregor will join us, talk a little March Madness with Jason, the Oilers, obviously, and the California road trip, and the deadline, too. Okay. Going to be a very interesting show, and we begin it with our introductions of the individuals who are sitting at the same table as I am. This will be her first trade deadline on Friday, but she's cool under pressure, unfazed by chaos. We know that because she produces this show. Ladies and gentlemen, Mackenzie McLennan. Mackenzie.
I don't know if I do well under pressure, but we'll see this week.
It's one thing I will say is that any trade deadline show, at the end of it, you're like, oh my God, my mind is a blur. And you have to go home, have like whatever your favorite drink is. Mine's ginger ale. And then you can look back at the trades that were made and evaluate them, because in real time, it's almost impossible to do. He is beginning his broadcast career in sports radio, but will find fame later in life as a fit version of Roger Ebert. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Josh Fenwick. Josh Fenwick.
Hey, went to the gym Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week. Leg day yesterday. I can barely walk. It's not very comfortable. So, yeah, feeling good.
Good for you, young man. Good for you. He's positively bouncing around right now because it's March, and that means madness. He's trash talking Syracuse, though, so we got to find out what's going on there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Declan Krueger. Declan Krueger.
Oh, what a weekend.
Yeah, you had a fun
what a
time?
week. Yeah, it was nice. It was awesome. I was thinking, Darnell Nurse,
Yes.
not great.
Yeah.
That's what we
Astute
call,
observation.
that is what we in the biz call a tease.
So you think there's going to be a trade?
No.
Were you
I'm
gonna,
not teasing
You're
that.
going to reveal something about Darnell Nurse?
No, I was really just kind of setting up the opening segment here for us all without consulting anyone.
All right.
about
Well,
what
good
we
job.
were
Good
doing.
effort.
Yeah,
you
lucky
know.
guess.
By the way, that Syracuse team, they're 13th in the ACC and they're 15 and 14.
Oh,
So,
well, okay.
Hmm.
They used to be. How long has Behind been gone?
I kind of have a weird concept of time since he left. It's probably like 4 years now.
Yeah.
Probably about that.
I have to take my
Listen,
headphones off.
no,
There's something wrong
absolutely.
with
Let me know if you need to switch these out. He was one of the best college coaches ever.
Yeah.
He only has the one natty, but that sustained success he had with Syracuse being a top level program, like unbelievable stuff.
The Edmonton Oilers were so inconsistent on the weekend. The first game, I was like, man, these guys don't know how to play hockey. The second game, I was like, the Los Angeles Kings are garbage. And then on the San Jose game, I was like, what's wrong with the Oilers? Now, I noticed that Matthias Ekholm is on the third pair today, and I did guess because they played the living daylights out of Darnell Nurse on the Sunday game. No, it's still overmodulated on the Sunday game. So maybe there's something wrong with Ekholm, and then Nurse had to take the brunt of the effort. But Nurse did not play well, nor did Jake Wallman. And this is a pairing that did play well. The Oilers are at the deadline, man. They don't have a lot of assets. They don't have a lot of money. We know that Mangiapane and Alec Regula were placed on waivers yesterday. Do we have any word on them yet? I know it usually comes out around now, but I'm fiercely looking to see if there's. I assume both have cleared.
I was looking just before the show here as well to see 41 seconds ago per the oil rig, both of them have cleared waivers.
Okay. That makes sense. And now you've got a little bit of room to grow. You can LTIR Matthias Janmark and maybe trade one or the other of Regula or Mangiapane. This is not the way I'm sure the Edmonton Oilers wanted to go through the deadline. You'd like to offload Mangiapane to another team. But again, they want some kind of return. Like when you look at an NHL team that's willing to take on money, and some of them may not be, but if you're looking for a team that wants to take on money, they want something. They want a draft pick. Well, the Oilers don't have very many of those. They have their 2027 first. They don't have their 2026 first. And then you're just talking about talent. They don't want to trade Ike Howard. Don't want to trade Matt Savoy. So this week is, I'm going to frame it this way. This week is either going to be very quiet for the Edmonton Oilers, or they're going to move something that hurts. And that's it. There's just no other way around it, because defensemen are always extremely valuable at the deadline. So if you want to move a right-handed defenseman, or you want to acquire one, you're going to have to give something up of real value. Other teams are going to be talking bigger trades and getting players. I don't see the Oilers being able to trade Bo Akey and a fourth for something that they can play in the top four defense, unless I'm wrong and somebody really values Bo Akey. He's a good young player, but he's not a big one. He's got good foot speed, great mobility, and I think he's going to play in the National Hockey League, but he's not a plug and play for another NHL team. This is an interesting time for the Edmonton Oilers. I wrote about it today, just as this is never going to happen, but it could based on the standings. And so I'm going to ask around the room. The question was, is it possible the Edmonton Oilers missed the Stanley Cup playoffs? Declan.
Interesting. See, I thought you were going to ask, is it possible there's no move here? And they just, kind of sit.
Well, that could happen too.
To use a phrase you use, they do keep their powder dry, realize this isn't the year, work on something in the offseason or, for next year.
I would defend that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad, I get what Josh is saying. I'm totally with it in the sense that when you're in this window with these two players, you should be going for it every year. But I also think there's a reality this year that it's not their year. And I think everyone I think the most hardened fans are to a degree coming around to that. Now, to answer your actual question, I don't see them missing the playoffs. I just think when they play at their best, I think they're the best team in the Pacific. They don't always play to their best, and that's not the Pacific isn't great. But when they play to their best, they're the best team in the Pacific. The Pacific is weak. I have a real tough time after an 82 game season seeing them not being in the playoffs on that Pacific side of the bracket.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it. It would just be mind blowing. But if you look at the standings, thank God the Pacific is garbage. If you're an Oilers fan, what about you, Josh?
To quote Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. Anything is possible. I mean, I think almost all the teams ahead of the Oilers have games in hand, which means the Oilers sort of have to go like ballistic in a sense because, like, yeah, the Pacific's not very good, but they all still have to play each other. So there's points to go around in those games. I can see a world where they don't make the playoffs.
Do you, Mackenzie, you go first, and then I'm going to ask another follow-up.
Okay. I do not see that happening, but also looking at the Oilers' schedule for the next 6 games, aside from the Senators, it's all very strong teams that are contenders. Hurricanes, Golden Knights. Golden Knights, I guess they've struggled, but I still count them as a contending team. Avalanche, Stars, and then they play the Blues and Preds. So this stretch of games is very important. Not saying that the last ones weren't, but this really, it's a homestand, and
we know how well the last one went.
Yeah, and really quickly, just to talk about the Pacific here. If the Oilers were in the East, they would be in 12th, and every team in from 11 through 8 in that playoff position, with the exception of one, has games on hand to them. So.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to later today mock the Toronto Maple Leafs, and if you're an Oilers fan, that's nice, except that the Leafs are in an inconvenient division. It's not like the Oilers are so much better as a team. They have wasted so much opportunity, including this weekend. You go in and you win 1 of 3. They were on January 30th. They were tied with the Vegas Golden Knights for first in the Pacific Division. Now, Vegas had 2 games in hand. However, having said that, the Oilers were there. They went 1-5-0 since, and they've given a lot back to the field. This should be an embarrassment for the organization, and we'll see what happens. Maybe there's going to be some moves, and maybe we'll be talking about, all these good things that occurred. And my goodness, did they ever come around? They certainly have the ability to do that. But right now, this is pretty interesting. It truly is interesting for this Edmonton Oilers Hockey Club.
There's only one team in the Pacific with more wins than losses.
It's the Ducks.
Yeah, I know.
That's a pretty harrowing stat 60 games into the season.
Well, and it's
scathing's maybe a better word.
And if you've watched the games, they're full, the defensive play on the 2 losses in California were just ghastly. And I understand Paul Coffey's coming in, and maybe they're making some changes. And sometimes when you're trying to do new things, you hesitate, and hesitation is not a good idea. But having said that, I think that right now, if you're Stan Bowman, you're on no sleep. You don't really have a lot to trade. You have 3 areas you might want to look at. I think it'll be a right-handed defenseman, but they might look for a number 3 center, and they might look for a bigger winger. Whatever they do, it has to happen in the next 4 or 5 days. There are other teams that have more assets to trade and more cap room. We haven't really talked about that. They're working the Mangiapane and Regula waiver moves, along with what will be Janmark's LTIR, gets them a little bit of money, not a lot, but a little bit. And now they've got to go out and make a trade. It's tough. I have to say, I think there's a chance that the most effective player who will be added between now and the deadline is Josh Szymanski, the center for the Bakersfield Condors, who's been here before and played well, and went down to the minors and continued to play well. The Edmonton Oilers team is in trouble, and that's why I wrote the article today, and that's going to be the theme today. They're not the only team. I mentioned the Toronto Maple Leafs. It looks like, based on reporting, that Oliver Ekman-Larsson isn't going to be, traded. I never thought he was a reasonably good fit for the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think they can afford like a higher end puck mover that is being talked about out of St. Louis. If you're Daryl Cates right now and you have this splendid entertainment called the Edmonton Oilers, and they really are. I mean, they're stars on ice. And the idea that they would miss the playoffs is so foreign. And this is right in the heart of the careers of Draisaitl, McDavid, and Evan Bouchard. And much of this comes from the lack of draft picks. They started trading them in the summer of 2015, and they've been trading them lickety-split since. And this is what you begat when you do that kind of thing. People want to offload Darnell Nurse. Number one, he has a no-movement clause. Number two, if you're going to offload a $9.25 million contract, how many draft picks would that take?
A lot.
Yeah. So they got to figure it out with the people they have on the roster and maybe one or two small additions.
You know what else we don't really talk about enough? Jake Wallman getting $7 million a year till 2033, and he doesn't get a modified no trade until he's 34 years old in like 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Not a lot of long list of problems that one hasn't come up yet for the Oil.
One thing that we know about Wallman is when he's healthy, he can be effective. He hasn't been completely healthy. And then the second thing, that contract, along with Bouchard's, probably means Darnell Nurse will be traded during the end portion of his career, because they have got to get some efficiency in this roster.
Can I ask you something really, really quickly?
Sure.
Kind of a random question. How are you feeling about Matthias Ekholm for the next 3 years?
Well, he's hurt right now.
I know.
I mean,
he's old.
Yeah. Well, but he's old. But when you brought him here, you knew that, and then when you re-signed him, you felt he was good enough, and that's the problem with not having Philip Bleeding Broberg. So the Oilers
or Oscar Klefbom, if we really want to break.
Well, but
hearts.
I mean yeah. Broberg was self-inflicted. Oscar Klefbom was just the worst damned luck, and it really did impact the roster. All right, so on the way at 12:40, we'll talk to Rachel Krychak. We'll talk to Jason Gregor at 1:20. We'll have rumors just around the corner, and I'm assuming Declanations is Mama MMA today.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about. Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway this weekend, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao.
Nice.
Fight again.
Nice.
Because apparently it's 2009. So yeah, fun stuff.
Oh dear. When does Foreman fight again?
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
I'll get front row tickets.
All right. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business. And for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Booster Juice is going crazy for hazelnuts.
No, not crazy. Nuts.
Booster Juice is going bananas for hazelnuts.
I mean, there are bananas in smoothies, but that's not the point.
Banana juice is booster for hazelnuts.
What? Just stop.
Booster Juice is going nuts for hazelnut. Introducing the Nutty Monkey Smoothie, Holy Hazelnut Acai Bowl, and Nutty Booster Ball, all made with rich, creamy hazelnut spread. Try them today, only at Booster Juice. Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, healing doesn't have to feel heavy, because in our SwimX aquatic therapy pools, you literally float your way to recovery. Whether you're dealing with arthritis, back pain, joint injuries, post-surgical rehab, chronic pain, balance issues, mobility challenges, or just feeling a little creaky, warm water and gentle resistance have your back. your knees, and your hips. Trusted by pro sports teams and rehab hospitals, our SwimX pools help you move sooner, hurt less, and recover faster. So take the load off. Let the water do the work. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Big guests, bigger takes. Jason Krueger brings the names you know and the stories you don't. Weekdays, 2 to 6 on Sports 1440. Don't miss a minute of the action. On Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Business owners, if rising electricity costs are cutting into your profits, there's a smarter way forward. Right now, federal clean technology tax credits can cover 30 to over 50% of the cost of a commercial solar system, delivering an immediate return on your investment. And in Edmonton and Sturgeon County, the Commercial Clean Energy Improvement Program offers long-term financing for up to 20 years, making solar more affordable than ever. Lock in lower energy costs for decades and strengthen your bottom line. Visit GreatCanadianSolar.com to get started.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
McValue meals are here. Get the McDs you love for $5 plus tax every day with your choice of a McDouble, junior chicken, or chicken snack wrap with small fries and small fountain drink. All for just $5 plus taxes. Canadian restaurants. Product availability varies. Prices exclude delivery.
Oh, Canada. Jiffy Lube is here to keep you moving through mornings like these. Full synthetic oil changes, quality Pennzoil products, tire checks, battery tests, and everything else your car needs to get through our winters. Stop by Jiffy Lube for fast, easy, warranty-approved service. No appointment, no hassle. Just dependable service right when you need it. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving through this.
Breaking down the fine art of sports, one rep at a time. The Lowdown with Lowetide. Thanks for checking out Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
This is the Lowdown on Sports 1440, 1221. It's Alan Mitchell, Declan Krueger, Josh Fenwick, and young Mackenzie McLennan joining you. I don't know why I keep saying, you're not even the youngest person on this panel, are you?
No.
No.
It's Josh.
Yeah. Josh is the baby. You know the Lowdown is brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. You also know that when we slide into rumors, it's brought to you by Great Canadian Solar. We believe you should create your own electricity. Let's build a brighter, sustainable future. GreatCanadianSolar.com. Okay, so Mangiapane, took me a while to work up to the name. Mangiapane has cleared.
Because it hurts so bad to even think about it.
Yeah, that's right. I like Mangiapane. I thought it was a good, who said it was a good signing right away was Josh Fenwick. And he had seen him for many games.
That should have spelled trouble.
No, you know your hockey. So I love Mangiapane. It just hasn't worked. And they're going to offload him, but now they've gotten him off the roster, and we'll see where it goes. Regula also cleared. I'd keep him in Bakersfield. He'd be a good, I guess, number 8 defenseman when they get a guy. And then this is via Jason Krueger. Jason Krueger, who'll be joining us at 1:20. Szymanski and Howard will be recalled after Mangiapane and Regula clear. Howard Stahl is between Podkolzin and Kapanen, while Szymanski will sit between Hyman and Lazar. Where are you going to get that kind of information? That's right. It's interesting. I do think that the Edmonton Oilers should stay the course with Savoy and Ike Howard and Josh Szymanski. Now, there's 2 smaller players in there, and maybe they can't do that. But next fall, they're going to need skill guys, and they don't really have enough of them who are in their 20s. What happens when we age, Declan?
Oh man, is there? I don't know.
You gain a lot of wisdom.
And
a
other
lot
things.
of wisdom.
Yeah.
I lose my hands
You
though.
gain a little bit of
You
weight.
lose your hair.
Gravity starts really being just a bitch, and that's a fact.
Vertigo.
Yeah. You get grumpy. There's a lot that goes on.
I.e. Lowetide in the first segment.
Listen, I hate when the headphones don't work, because it gives me a headache. And they don't. And if you think I'm bad, wait till you see Krueger today. Am I right? You're going to come in here, sunshine and lollipops? Oh, headphones don't work. It's all good. Yeah, you're laughing now. I thought I was very controlled. Anyway, so the lines and pairings are out today. And the big news is that Matthias Ekholm is on the third pair. And what does that tell us? Well, it tells us what we thought we knew when we saw that Nurse was playing like 3 more minutes. So the new pairings are Wallman Bouchard, Nurse Emberson, Ekholm Stastny. Nurse Emberson have played together before and have had some success. Wallman Bouchard, I think, is a fairly new unit. And Ekholm Stastny should work like a dam if they're going to be the third pair. We don't know that, right? Like, that's the way they are sent out, but we don't know that for sure. We'll have to wait and see. But it does imply to me that maybe Ekholm isn't 100%. His minutes played the other night were of a concern. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This is the time of the year, man, where, you say, okay, what do the Oilers need? Big power winger. They need a right-handed center, and they need a defenseman. And then if Ekholm's starting to not feel like 100%, then you need a defenseman more than anything. So my own feeling on the issue, and my thanks to the CBC for the pronunciation guide, is that what we're looking at here is a smaller deadline than you want, because there's unless you have an appetite to trade Matt Savoy, and I don't think anybody does, then you're going to go and you're going to trade a pick, and you're hopefully not going to have to retain, but you're going to get Connor Murphy, and he's going to be your penalty kill guy. He's going to play every night, probably on the third pair, and that's the way it is. Maybe he and Ekholm are going to form a veteran pairing, and maybe they play second pair because Ekholm's healthy again. I don't know. But the idea that, there was going to be a great big trade for Alex Tuck, or they were going to somehow get something really, really good, they just don't have the horses. A 2027 first-round pick has value, but not that kind of value. It's not a plug-and-play guy who you can put into the lineup right away. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. But defensemen are so spendy at this time of year. The Minnesota Wild have claimed Robbie Fabry, who's had a fascinating career, and we'll see how that goes. They placed Tyler Pitlick on waivers. Poor Tyler Pitlick, man. He's had injuries. He's had all kinds of things happen, and he still carved out a good career. But I always cheered like hell for him. I really did. The Wild are the team that I'm interested in, because I keep reading that Jesper Wallstedt is available for trade. And I keep thinking to myself, there's a guy that he's young, he could grow with the team, he doesn't cost $10 million, because the Oilers need a Hail Mary. You know what that is, Declan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I can recite it if anyone wants it, or just email me.
Full of grace.
Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women.
I've forgotten it.
Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners.
Jesus,
Now at the
now
hour
at
of
the
our
hour.
death. Yeah. You were there.
No, I haven't done it in a while, so I'd forgotten it.
Mm-hmm.
They need a goaltender who can stop all the pucks in the playoffs. They need those plywood sheets. They need that, because Paul Coffey's coming in and he's going to work on the defense, but the forwards have to play a certain way too. And they have so much talent. When I asked at the top of the show, will they miss the playoffs? I don't think they'll miss the playoffs. But the fact we're even talking about it is like, to a man, the Edmonton Oilers, from the players to the coaches to the managers, should be disappointed. Daryl Cates is the only guy who gets to be angry. He spends to the cap every year, It's like that old line, I do and I do and I do for you guys. And this is the thanks I get? Wow.
But then he starts bringing in Paul Coffey mid-season.
Well, they need a fix. And Coffee coming in doesn't hit the cap, right? So I understand that. I don't like the idea. I think it was the owner, but I don't think the owner should be making those kinds of decisions. But holy Hannibal, they were playing bad, and they're playing bad still. But I think Coffee will, at some point in time, this system will click for these guys. But the unfortunate thing is they did it so late that now you've got all of these different, trains. The Paul Coffey train is just leaving, and the trade deadline train is just at the station. And you've got a lot going on for everybody. The coaching staff is like trying to find out, how they can work together again. And the general manager probably has a list of 5 guys that he wants, but he doesn't have the torque. You need torque. And I don't think they have the torque, unless it's Matt Savoy or Ike Howard. The 2027 first-round pick has value, but not as much as a 2026 first-round pick.
Theoretically, they'll be much better in 2027.
You
right?
think?
But you would think.
But I mean,
but to that point, that 2027 draft pick, all of a sudden it's meh.
But here's the thing that bugs me, and I'm going to ask Rachel in a minute. I'm going to ask you guys now, and I'll ask Jason later. Ordinarily, when a team's playing this badly, it's because somebody important is hurt. Geez, this guy's out for a while. When he gets back, things will be better. They don't have that excuse right now. Who's coming back to save this bunch?
No one's coming back to save this.
This is us.
Great show.
Yeah. Great song by Emmylou and Mark Knopfler, by the way. Do you guys even listen to Mark Knopfler and Emmylou Harris?
Who?
One day, we're going to have a big listening session. You guys are going to...
Your last day, yep. You've been very open about the fact that, you're just...
I would like to do that.
You're doing a regular radio show.
So maybe we should do a prediction about what Lowetide's last show will be. I will tell you right now, it won't be me doing it. It'll be outside forces. Either I get run over in the parking lot by a coworker. I'd put my money on that.
It'll be like a military coup.
No, I think of Jamal Adams with the Jets. Oh, I guess they cut me.
And you know what it's going to be? It's going to be from the person you least suspect. It's going to be from Mac.
It's going to be from whatever intern we have.
Quietly, she's going to be like, "Hey, Jason, I've been listening, and I'm just not sure about Lowetide."
Let me play you this. She'll say, it'll be long list of suspects.
Anyways,
yeah.
Who's coming back to save the Oilers? Nobody.
That's right. You're right. It's got to be internal. As mad as you are at Darnell Nurse, as mad as you are at whomever, they have to save it. They have to do it. And they played poorly in 2 of the 3 games on the coast.
Know where it starts? Darnell Nurse saying, "Yeah, guys, I haven't been playing well enough." Because, listen, for as much shiitake as Speck took last week for asking tough questions, I think asking Darnell Nurse that question after the Sharks game was very fair, and I would say that his answer was far from satisfactory.
Well, I mean, people handle the media the way they handle the media. I'd much rather. I don't really care about that, although I do.
That's an
defend
assistant
Speck's,
captain.
I do respect Speck's right to ask that question, and I know people get mad at him, but that's the job. You don't go back to your editor and say, "Yeah, I was afraid to ask the question." You asked the question, and he did. But as far as Nurse's answer is concerned, I remember Mike Smith blaming everybody else, and so did Ethan Morrow. So if we want to go back through the annals of time and say, "Gee, that's not a great answer," you can do that if you wish. But I see people saying, rip the A off his chest. Okay. This is a team been to Stanley Cup final twice. Darnell Nurse said something, in the post game that probably in the heat of battle. That doesn't mean anything. Just play better. That's what you need. The media will say whatever they say, but for Darnell Nurse, the key is to actually play well, and they need him to play well. Like, everybody has to figure out what Paul Coffey wants to do in terms of changes, have their head on a swivel. There were at least 2 pucks that were loose pucks that the Oilers were nowhere close to. The only time they saw it was in the back of the net. Well, that's just effort and hard work and execution. 2 of the last 3 games have been the 1974-75 Washington Capitals. So Darnell Nurse's response to Mark Spector may be interesting, but they got a hell of a lot more problems than that. Can anybody here play this game? Let's start with that. And then after that, let's see if Matthias Ekholm's hurt. And then how in HE double hockey sticks are they going to get a foundation piece? Somebody who's on the top 2 lines or a third line center, somebody who's on the top 2 pairings or the starting goaltender. How are they going to get that person here with what they're offering and with a major, major issue in how much cap space they can spend? This is beyond a needle in a haystack. This is the Star Wars scene where you're threading a needle.
Feel like that was not specific enough. There's a lot of Star Wars scenes like that.
There's only one that matters.
You're talking about A New Hope?
I'm talking about the first movie.
Yeah. A New Hope.
It wasn't
flying
called
through the trenches.
It wasn't called New Hope. It was called Star Wars.
That's too bad.
I went to see it on Jasper Avenue.
Now.
Well, I don't care.
Episode 4.
I've only seen the first 3. I haven't watched any of the other ones.
You gotta check out the prequels at least. Phantom Menace, Attack the Clones, Revenge of the Sith.
Phantom Menace a lot more important than you thought it would be. They're talking about trade routes and stuff in that one. Never thought I would care.
Ladies
Star Wars
and
taught
gentlemen,
me something.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fit Roger Ebert. We should get you your own little feature.
I'm not that fit yet. So
we should have a movie time.
No, this is a sports station.
I love movies though.
Well, wait a minute.
Hands up. I'm going to say it.
What is Declanations Friday? Sometimes it's not about sports.
Correct. But in like the 2.5 years we've done this, there's maybe been 3 non-sports lists.
All right. You talked me out of it. All right. On the way.
Don't let me talk you out of it.
All right.
You're sure you can do whatever you want, but I highly implore against it.
Okay, well, then we'll do it. All right. On the way, Rachel Krychak. We're going to talk about these Edmonton Oilers. My goodness, what a mess. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
They're not just a grocery store. They're a butcher, a baker, a cafe, deli, rotisserie pizza, and restaurant, all under one roof. Loca Quality Market does food differently with 2 locations to serve you, Edmonton and Sherwood Park. Visit loca.ca.
Do you listen to sports radio at work? Like right now? Well, do you?
Who, me? No way. I swear.
Okay, friend, we won't tell. Tens of thousands of sports fans listen to Sports 1440 each and every day. On the radio, on the listening apps, on YouTube, and on social media. If you listen to Sports 1440 at work, well, maybe it's time to advertise on Sports 1440 at work. Grow your business. Get your name out there. Shoot our ad team an email. Gregor@sports1440.ca. Let's get to work for you.
Your furnace is dead. It's time to replace it before winter crushes you. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
A piece of Askarov on its way by. McDavid again from Bouchard. Backdoor, Bouchard scores. What a look from Connor McDavid. Bouchard finishes for his 7th.
Maybe. I'm sure they're working on it, trying to get it done. It's not done yet. Here's Savoy.
Curled in front of Frederick Thompson. Massive goal for Trent Frederick. 3-3. He had not had a point in his life.
Core for a long time.
Islanders lead.
With the same ownership for over 2 decades, our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business. And for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
For many families, the stress of divorce can throw your life out of balance. The loss of a relationship, ongoing conflict, mounting legal bills, and uncertainty about the future can feel overwhelming. Hi, I'm Corey Anderson with Fairway Divorce Solutions. At Fairway, our team helps you restore balance through mediation, negotiation, and a unique step-by-step process. With 2 offices in Edmonton dedicated to serving your needs, our goal is simple: to help you navigate a path back to peace and clarity. Visit us today at Fairway Divorce.
He knows all about the Expos and Oilers. It's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Edmonton's Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's the Lowdown on Sports 1440, 1240, Monday edition, where everybody's kind of here, but the brain parts aren't working like they will like Tuesday or Wednesday. And by Thursday, of course, we begin to think about the weekend, so our minds wander. We're brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. We are delighted that you've joined us. Also delighted that Rachel Krychak joins us from Betalytics. How are you today?
I'm good. My brain is also not working today. So we're right up on the Lowetide show where my brain doesn't work either.
You know what? If your brain worked really well, you would just show the rest of us up. So thank you for being part of the team, Rachel. Appreciate it. So here's the deal. Watching the Oilers on the weekend, I found painful just from a point of view of a hockey fan. They're a very talented group. They have one flaw, and it's the puck. So is the defensive chaos we saw the result of airlifting Paul Coffey onto this team and into the mix, or is this just a roster that can't get it done?
I think it's a little bit too early to say from a Paul Coffey perspective. The Oilers' defensive issues existed long before Paul Coffey, and we could say this numerous times at this point. This is not the first time Paul Coffey has been airlifted in to provide CPR to the Edmonton Oilers defense. And I think the chaos part of this is likely moderately related to the changes that Paul Coffey wants to make. It's difficult to make in season, but given the week of practice that the Edmonton Oilers had with Paul Coffey involved, they should be further ahead than one would expect if you would just have airlifted a guy in midseason with no practice. And so I think part of it is certainly Paul Coffey trying to do new things or switch some things up. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is just not a very good team defensively. And that's probably more roster related than anything. So it's a little bit of both here. And I would suggest that if it doesn't start to get better over the next 2 games before the trade deadline, then it's probably more roster related than Paul Coffey related.
That's fair. You worked at an NHL front office and evaluated things and ran the numbers and observed. Aside from not signing any more of them, how do the Oilers get out of these NMCs, these no movements and no trades? There's like a baker's dozen of them.
Yeah, so obviously you mentioned the easiest way to do that is to not give them to people. It's one thing to give them to guys named Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and even to a degree Zach Hyman. Those are all top 6 players, top 4 defensemen. The moment you are not one of those things, I'm kind of actually of the belief that if you're not one of those things, not only do you not get a no-move clause, you don't get trade protection at all. So that's sort of where I stand on that. But I think it's worth a conversation with Darnell Nurse. Obviously, he has a no-move clause, but at this particular point, it's very clear that it's not working out, and perhaps a change of scenery would benefit certainly the Edmonton Oilers, but it might benefit Darnell Nurse too. Nobody wants to be the whipping boy in a Canadian market for an elongated period of time. That is not fun. That's not enjoyable for anybody's mental health. And certainly when somebody is bearing the brunt of that, that's going to impact their play. After all, these are still human beings. And so I think it's worth a conversation with Darnell Nurse. But outside of that, you can make their life difficult. So you can sit them out, i.e. Trent Frederick. You can't waive them because they have no move clauses. But if you decide I'm just going to sit you out for the foreseeable future until you want to move, then a player is more than likely going to say, okay, I'm willing to work with you somewhat, especially if they're on an expiring deal or coming up to a deal that may be expiring, because at the end of the day, these players want to make money and they want to play. And not playing and sitting in the press box impacts their ability to sign a new contract. Obviously, that part doesn't impact Frederick, but he's not going to not want to play for the rest of the season. And so I think that's probably your best option for guys with trade protection and no movement clauses is you kind of have to wield the sword of the only thing that you have and just say you're not going to play until we can figure something out here.
Well, and we've seen it. Vegas did it. Rangers have done it. It has never been. It was certainly not Ken Holland style. I don't think it would be Daryl Cates style either. But the consequence, the result of this is that the Oilers are bleeding the final seasons of Connor McDavid's career, not just on Darnell Nurse, as you mentioned, but we have Trent Frederick and Jake Wallman has just signed a long-term deal. Hyman has been money. I don't want to be critical of him, but it's one of several that have been signed. And I look at this and they're Rachel, probably better than I because you worked in the industry. There's a tipping point for an organization, for a franchise. And God bless hockey players are not like basketball players who will leave immediately when it feels like they're not going to be able to win. But the idea of being competitive, and the Edmonton Oilers has always been, at least since Ken Holland arrived, has always been a given. I do not believe in any way the Edmonton Oilers will miss the playoffs this year. Having said that, they, mathematically could based on how poorly they played.
It's possible. I would suggest that it's probably unlikely. But isn't it kind of incredible that the Leafs and the Panthers are 3 points back of the Oilers, and the discourse it's much different around those teams just simply because of how competitive the East is? And there's one thing that kind of speaks to that. There are 5 teams in the Atlantic Division only, not forget the Metropolitan. 5 teams in the Atlantic Division that have more points than any single team in the Pacific Division. So we're not talking about Edmonton having to run a gauntlet here to make the playoffs, and missing the playoffs would be ridiculously unacceptable at this point. But they need to start winning. They have there's very little room for error here, and they need to start winning some games. Now, I would suggest they're a better team than Seattle, who seems to look to be selling. I would suggest they are a better team than Anaheim, who is kind of on the up and up, and they're going to be a problem at some point. They're certainly better than San Jose, maybe not for long. But then you have the Vegas Golden Knights. Okay, well, 3 teams in the Pacific are going to make the playoffs. So, yeah, is it conceivable that Anaheim might win the division? I mean, it is, and boy, would that be disappointing for Vegas and Edmonton. But I don't think for a second the expectation should be that the Edmonton Oilers should be making the playoffs. They are absolutely one of the best 2 teams in their division. And anything less than that would be a gross failure on the part of every single part of the organization from the president on down.
Yeah, it's a wild time here. It really is, and it could get even more wilder. Mangiapane and Regula have cleared waivers, and the anticipation is that Matthias Janmark will be based on LTIR, and they'll call up Josh Szymanski and Ike Howard. I wonder, if the Oilers are trying to get a piece, like a real piece, top 4 defenseman, top 6 winger, I don't know what they're out there looking for. They're going to have to spend something of value. And now I know the 2027 first round pick has value, 2026 second has value, although less. But how how difficult would it be for Stan Bowman, who doesn't have a lot of cap room, to make a couple of deals without including somebody like Howard or Savoy or another young player that this organization will be counting on in the years to come?
Yeah, well, I think it's worth mentioning that when you hire people like the guy who started Cap Friendly, you make some really good cap decisions because he's available to help you. And that's exactly what the Oilers have done here with the Mangiapane and Regula cap relief. They didn't lose either of them, specifically Regula. But the way that the cap math works out is right now, Matthias Janmark is not on LTIR. And you have to be at a certain point to maximize your LTIR cap relief. And so by putting Mangiapane and Regula down and bringing up Howard and Szymanski, they actually maximize the LTIR pool cap relief that they're going to get from Matthias Janmark. So there is a scenario where those two are down there and Janmark's placed on LTIR to maximize his pool relief, and then you could simply just swap them again, because the moment that the player is placed on LTIR, that's the amount of cap room you get. It doesn't lessen once you remove that salary and send them down. So that was some really good cap maneuvering from the Edmonton Oilers, and I would probably suggest that Dominic Zarim is part of that brain trust there. So this is really well done. In terms of what they can do, we've talked about Bobby McMahon a lot, but I actually think that Oliver Ekman-Larsson could not just be a this year solution, but a 2 more year solution for the Edmonton Oilers. We're talking about a player that can move the puck really well, that can had points of this season where he was Toronto's best defensive defenseman, and I would say that he would be better in Edmonton. Number one, I think him working with Paul Coffey would be helpful. Number two, he's not going to be playing top pair minutes. He's going to be on the second pair. And I think that's probably where he's best suited in that situation. And I do think it's going to cost them not just spare parts. It's going to cost a Savoy or a Howard or one of those nice high-end picks, if not more pieces than that. And especially if you're going to send salary back, if you are sending Andrew Mangiapane back, like that, you're asking a team that doesn't really want to take on that salary to take on that salary at that point. So I do think the Edmonton Oilers have now put themselves in a situation to maximize their LTIR pool, and therefore they can maximize what the salary they take back is. And that's some really shrewd cap management on the part of the Oilers brass.
I agree totally, and I'm glad you're the only person who's agreed with me about Savoy. You know, I like him as a player. I'm not saying I don't. I hope they keep him for a long time. But you got to give to get, and they are in a spot of bother because they don't have a lot. Now, let me ask you on the other side of that, what are the Leafs going to do on the deadline? Because they've got some nice pieces they could trade. And diving down to the bottom of the standings does benefit them. They would be able to, if they can go far enough, they'd actually be able to keep their pick this year. But is that market, does it have the appetite? Would they ever buy in on this?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I'm probably uniquely positioned to talk about this. I grew up in Toronto. I actually just spent the last 2 weeks in Toronto. And part of what I did was like, I talked to a bunch of my friends about this. And I just kind of took a gauge in the market of what people were feeling. And this is where I feel like a lot of people are at. You're not going to pull the wool over the majority of the Leafs fan base's eyes. We're talking about a very intelligent fan base if you ignore certain factions of a very loud minority on either side. And I think they're at the point where they're going, yeah, we want to rebuild because or some level of retool. We know it can be done because we've seen other teams do it. But we're not necessarily confident that the people at the helm are able to execute that. So when you look at that OEL for a nice return, that's a pick and a player, given the value of his contract and how good he's been. I mean, yeah, that should be a first round pick and a prospect or some young player that's under 22. That's absolutely the bare minimum. Bobby McMahon and Scott Lawton need to go, and at least one of them needs to return a first-round pick. And the thing with Scott Lawton is if the Leafs retain on him, he can be a league minimum player. And all of a sudden, Scott Lawton at league minimum becomes very attractive to a lot of teams. Those guys, they got to go, right? Then you look at, can you trade Calle Yarncroc and Simone Benoit for mid-round picks? Just acquiring draft selections, that's good. I think extending Stetcher at an affordable number is probably a good idea. I don't think sitting him is a good idea, which is what they're doing today. And at the end of the day, you need to make room for guys like Luke Haynes, Jacob Quillen, William Villeneuve, Marshall Rafai, and certainly Easton Cowan needs to play more. And the only way you can do that is by trading pieces off your roster. And so I look at this as a golden opportunity, not only for the Leafs to kind of get some assets back, but to do so in a manner that allows them to get a look at their young players, but to be better as soon as next year, because you can use some of those assets to acquire immediate help over the summer. But the issue that you have is it's not that the Toronto market's not going to buy into doing this. The Toronto market will buy in if they believe that there is an appropriate and believable plan going on, and there's no belief that is happening right now. And I would put myself in that category. I'm not confident that there is a plan there that can remotely lead to success the way that it's going right now.
Rachel Krychak, our guest from Betalytics on Sports 1440 and YouTube. Final question for you. Did Ken Holland ruin the Los Angeles Kings, or did that fine group of prospects, Clark, Byfield, and others, just maybe not develop as hoped?
He ruined them. Do I think the Kings were a cup contender? No. I mean, I would say that there's probably 3 or 4 teams in the division that are either ahead of them or going to pass them. And so that's not great. But Byfield has developed, Brant Clark has developed, but is not being given an opportunity to play, which is inexplicable to me. But Ken Holland is part of that reason. The defense contracts he handed out with Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin were some of the most preposterous contracts handed out last year. And there's no getting away from that. Then he traded Jordan Spence. So now you have a blue line that outside of Brant Clark can't really move the puck. And Jordan Spence can move the puck, and you traded that guy away. So that's a problem. I think he deserves some credit for the Panarin trade. You were gifted a guy who said he wanted to go there. And yes, you didn't have to give up a lot for him, but you managed to extend him. And I think that that's very good. But then you're gifted a week-long training camp coming out of the Olympics, which is the perfect time to make a coaching change because you never get that out of a break anywhere in the NHL season. And they don't do that. And instead they fire their coach 2 or 3 games after the Olympic break. And so they don't give DJ Smith a chance to come in and implement his systems. If Jim Hiller was on that much of thin ice, you should have fired him and allowed DJ Smith or a new coach to implement their systems over that week-long stretch after coming out of the Olympic break to give the Kings a fighting chance. It is a wildly unacceptable way to run your team. And I think the one thing is he can't help what happened to Kevin Fiala or Andrei Kuzmenko. That's completely out of his control. But the reality is he didn't set his hockey team up for success in the summer with the contracts that he signed. And he certainly didn't set his team up with success with the way he's handled Jim Hiller's dismissal and keeping him for what has amounted to far too long.
Thanks so much for this. Appreciate it, Rachel. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Sounds good, Lowetide.
There you go, 12:57. Great stuff. Enjoyed that very much. OEL. Man, you know what? I do not envy Stan Bowman this week. The whole team could give the general manager a massive break by playing well this week before the deadline. We'll see how that happens.
You're not that lucky.
Listen, a little insight into how radio works. The best thing for this radio station is that the Oilers lose games like they did on Sunday. I'm sorry, but it is. When they're playing well, people are like, oh, hell, I don't mind. Whatever.
They need to be right in the mushy middle. Is what they went 1-2. They had a very impressive win against a very, very terrible team.
They were. Yeah.
And it was sandwiched between 2 god-awful Darnell Nurse games.
Well, I don't even blame Darnell Nurse for all of it. Jake Wallman hands the puck back to the goaltender who can't corral it.
That was
not
really
Nurse.
bad.
That's not
But
Nurse.
Nurse had two terrible giveaways against the Ducks.
Two people
that
sent me
directly led to their
videos
loss.
of that Jake Wallman play and said, look how bad Nurse is. Nurse didn't do anything. Look, I
Maybe
understand.
that's the problem. He didn't do anything.
I understand Nurse is everybody's after Darnell Nurse, but I'm telling you, the team that you see on the ice right now needs Darnell Nurse. They need him. That's a fact.
They need him to give the puck away?
Well, you're being silly. They need him to play better. And he's a veteran. He has to play better. That's the bottom line. And if he doesn't, then we'll see what shakes out in the springtime after the season is over. But this is as serious as it's been for the Edmonton Oilers really since Ken Holland got here, and that was like 7 years ago.
Matthias Janmark out for the rest of the season, by the way.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we're really late for a break. My apologies. On the way, Jason Gregor at 1:20. We've got Declinations at 1:40. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube. It's time for an update with Mackenzie.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Custom Floors Inc. Floors done right for homes or businesses. Visit their new showroom, now open at 11577 149th Street, now open 6 days a week with Saturday hours from 10 to 2, or visit customfloorsinc.ca and bring your next flooring project to life. 6 games in the NHL tonight. Detroit is currently up 1-0 on Nashville with a goal from Emmett Finney. Toronto looks to bounce back against Philly. Stars are in Vancouver. Kraken hosts the Hurricanes, and Kings and Avalanche have the nightcap. 4 games in the association. Rockets and Washington tip off at 5. Boston takes on Milwaukee. Jazz hosts the Nuggets. Warriors and Clippers have the late slate. The MLB will expand its spring breakout of games involving top prospects into a tournament next year, when the big league exhibition schedule could be impacted by a possible lockout. In the NFL offseason reports, the Detroit Lions have traded running back David Montgomery to the Houston Texans for a 5th-round pick, splitting up their backfield duo of Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Texans have also agreed to a trade for starting right tackle Titus Howard to the Cleveland Browns for a 5th-round draft pick. Howard will receive a 3-year, $63 million extension from the Browns. I'm Mackenzie, and that's your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Mr. Rooter kinda speaks French.
Je m'appelle Monsieur Rooter. Je suis plombier.
Très bien, Mr. Rooter. Your name is Mr. Rooter, and you are in fact a plombier, a plumber. You are an excellent student.
Au contraire, mon frère, je suis un excellent étudiant. Also, I'm not here for a French lesson. I'm here because someone clogged up the toilets.
Ah, oui, right this way.
For a plumber who speaks your language, call Mr. Rooter.
You matter. Your mental health matters, and you're braver than you think. Not Alone is an organization focused on creating a space of acceptance and support through tough, meaningful conversation. Use code 1440 for 15% off at notalonecode.com. It's okay to not be okay.
McValue meals are here. Get the McDs you love for $5 plus tax every day with your choice of a McDouble, Junior Chicken, or Chicken Snack Wrap with small fries and small fountain drink. All for just $5 plus taxes. Canadian restaurants. Product availability varies. Prices exclude delivery.
A claims program for harmed Canadians has begun as a result of a landmark tobacco settlement. If you smoked regularly before November 20th, 1998, and were diagnosed with lung cancer, throat cancer, emphysema, or COPD, you may qualify for a significant payment. To learn more, call 888-482-5852 or go to tobaccoclaimscanada.ca.
He's the only person to win an arm wrestling contest with the Philly Fanatic. The Lowdown with Lowetide, now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
This is the Lowdown, Sports 1440. Also on YouTube, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Family owned, community driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. We have Jason Krueger coming up in about 15 minutes. We also have Declinations at 1:40 today. If you are just tuning in, the new lines and pairings are out. Basically the same in terms of lines, although Lazar and Henrique are the only two members on the third line. Mangiapane was waived today. Regulo is also waived. They were waived yesterday, and both have cleared. The pairings are interesting, though. Wallman-Bouchard, Nurse Emberson, Ekholm-Stastny. Ekholm didn't play as much the other day against San Jose. We wonder if he's injured. We'll obviously be monitoring that situation, and Jason Krueger will have all kinds of comments. He spent a lot of time with Bowman, and I believe also with Chris Knobloch today. So lots on his timeline on Twitter right now. But as well, you can check him out at 2:00 today. We will be talking to Jason here at about 1:20 or so. Szymanski and Howard have been recalled. Matthias Janmark has been placed on LTIR, out for this season. I was admonished by my learned coworker and a moment ago, Declan, because I didn't spend more time on the Janmark LTIR. I did mention earlier last hour, but it is now official. He's out for the season. Is that correct?
Yes. That
Okay.
is. From what unless I misunderstood something earlier, which obviously is possible. That's now as the information has been presented and has been delivered to us.
So
Yes.
if it's not true, all the letters and cards and phone calls should go to you.
They can go to me.
Right.
And you know what? I'll even give out my personal number.
That's right. Send him the voicemails.
Listen,
Go back to North
listen,
Battleford, Declan.
for a guy who's already getting like mail that's delivered via voice. You've been here what, 8 months?
No, 10 months.
Okay. The old complaints department is getting a workout over there because of Josh.
Just the one time.
Oh.
Plus whatever nasty things people have to say on the text line.
My guess is that it's about Brad Pitt, but I don't know.
Yeah, it was about Brad Pitt. You're right.
Well, I mean,
you're so smart, Lowetide.
He's a controversial actor for those of us of a certain age. I did love Moneyball, though. I really did love. I didn't think he was great in it. I think all of his personal problems were kind of the low part of the movie.
Well, there weren't Brad Pitt's problems or Billy Bean's problems.
Well, I just thought, I thought he could have been nicer to his daughter.
He was very nice to his daughter.
No,
he bought her a guitar.
He didn't spend a lot of time with her. She'd rather have time with the guitar.
He was
nice.
trying to build a roster.
Well, okay. If Art Howe could just smarten the hell up, then he could have spent more time with his daughter.
Yeah,
The guitar is nice, but you spend more time with your kids.
How is it his fault that Art Howe wouldn't deploy the roster the way it was constructed?
Fire Art.
He couldn't fire Art Howe.
Yes, he could. Art Howe doesn't know everything.
Contract year.
Art Howe doesn't know everything.
He won Manager of the Year that year.
I don't care. Spend time with your daughter. And if you're going to put it in a movie, sure as hell have that side of it taken care of.
Now, they probably cut the scenes where he spent time with his daughter because they're like, hold on. We should have a scene with a scout.
Damn right. I love the scout scenes.
So So you'd take the scout scenes over the daughter scenes? These are your
They're
two
more
options.
interesting because he didn't spend time with his daughter.
He spent tons of time with his daughter.
No.
Why are we arguing about the personal life
Kenneth
of Billy
says
Bean?
McDavid's a winger. Nothing wrong with that. Their C wouldn't even need to get points 5-on-5. Hopkins doesn't already, and McDavid still scores. The mistakes or choices to not make the smallest play from McDavid as a C is incredible. He'll be a C his entire career, obviously, from Kenneth. Well, McDavid, Draisaitl is better at the face-offs, so he takes the face-offs. And look, I'm not going to, tell you lies here. all of the Oilers forwards, except for Nugent Hopkins and Janmark, I think they could be better defensively. But here's the equation, and I agree with what the Oilers have done. You have a gifted player in Connor McDavid. You have a gifted player in Leon Draisaitl. So their defense is offense because the puck is 200 feet from your net when they have it. So the idea of saying to Connor McDavid, those dangerous passes of the blue line, man, I would get rid of those. But that said, I never want to be the person to say to Connor McDavid, no, you can't do that, because he's so creative. And when he has the puck on his stick, it's going the right direction, and it is for many seconds. So those are good things. You have to, Gretzky was not a good defensive player, but he was a great defensive player because the puck was in the other end all the time. And I wish they had a Yari Curry, but they don't. I think Connor McDavid is fine the way he's playing. I would like more attention to detail, but you can say that about everybody. Bobby Orr, my personal hero in life, took a late third period penalty against the Philadelphia Flyers in 1975.
Embarrassing.
It ended the series. Bobby freaking Orr. Shouldn't have been a penalty, but that doesn't matter. He did it. I like Nurse way more than I like Wallman. I like them both. One of the things that happens with fans, Oilers fans, who I appreciate and love, is that whoever the latest problem is the one that you don't like very much. But things happen for a reason, and I wrote about it on my blog, and I don't expect everybody to read my blog, which is a lie. I expect everyone to read my blog. But having said that, I wrote about this and I wrote it down. Okay, so where the hell is it? Here it is.
Someone doesn't read his own blog.
Here it is. So Nurse Wallman played 17:07 together at 5-on-5 against the Sharks. They were not good. Ekholm Bouchard played 4 minutes fewer, 3.5 minutes fewer. I was convinced at that time. I didn't say. I said, is Ekholm injured? Should he be playing? Don't know. It's curious. Now we find out he's on the third pair. Maybe he is. Maybe he is injured. So they ran Nurse, even in a game where he and Wallman weren't playing well. They ran them for 17 minutes. 13:46 for Ekholm Bouchard and 13:43 for Stastny Emerson. So not only did they run Nurse Wallman a lot, they ran the third pairing almost as much as the Ekholm pairing. So that's an indicator. It's a tell. So as mad as you are at Darnell Nurse and Jake Wallman, they were stepping up because they were asked to take those extra minutes. Didn't work out well, and the giveaways were poor. I thought that the identification of where the puck was also poor, and they lost the game. But they were chaos all over the place, not just on one pairing. And remember, they need Nurse. They need Wallman. You can't change out that many pieces. So they've got Paul Coffey. He's adding some pieces. It may take a little while. It has to get better, because if it doesn't, disaster lurks. We need a big rough winger. Well, I know, Tony, but they don't have enough for anything. They don't have the proverbial pot to,
So before Janmark went on LTIR, I had more cap room than the Edmonton.
Yeah, they had
Oilers did.
$2,000.
I not flexing or anything, but I had more cap room to make moves than the Edmonton Oilers.
It kind of sounds like a flex.
No, I had just gotten paid that day, so that's why.
And you got your haircut.
I did not.
Okay. Did you comb it?
No. Why are we talking about this? You could be talking about Darnell Nurse right now and his crummy play.
Oh, it's been bad. It's been bad. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was thinking, when we talk about the worst contracts in the NHL, like if we're looking at the top 20 worst contracts in the NHL, do you think it's possible the Oil have two of them?
Oh, probably. You know, the Frederick contract is just awful.
You know what's weird about
worst
that?
one in NHL history.
Yeah, people forget. You know what's weird about the Frederick contract? Like, I think I've kind of been at ends with you about Trent Frederick, but weirdly, in the last
what did I
it must
say?
have been his last game. Like, I don't know
What
what it
did
was,
I
but
say?
I kind of came around to holding
All right,
out hope.
I am going to get mad at the world. What did I say? Last April, he had a high ankle sprain. And I said it's a long time to get over that.
Yeah.
He spent the summer playing or springs playing. He comes back and he's no damn good.
Yeah.
And I said it's not. Everybody's like, he should. That was a long time ago. It takes a while, and now he's playing better.
He is.
Thank you for acknowledging
Congrats,
that.
you're a
I
genius.
appreciate that. That makes you a good man.
Well, you got to admit when you're wrong. You have.
I
to.
never do. Actually, that's not true. I do.
You lose credibility if you don't. Like, you have to be able to look in the mirror and say I was wrong on this.
Darnell Nurse.
Nurse's goal share is at this year is at 44%. His expected goal share is at 50%. The Oilers without Nurse are just at 50%. That's not good enough either. That said, he's had a very poor run at a very important time. What would you do, Josh, with Nurse?
What would I do? That's a wonderful question. Have some tough conversations, that's for sure. Put him on the third pair.
Well, they've got
press box.
They've got Ekholm Heather because he's not 100%, I think. So
great. So Nurse Ekholm, third pair. Congratulations, Spencer Stastny. You're a second pair defenseman now.
Okay, you've got Stastny on the second pair.
And then Darnell Nurse. Hey, guess what? You had another bad game. You were on the third pair.
Right.
Enjoy the press box, buddy.
So Nurse in the press box.
I think like
they don't have 7 defensemen.
No.
So who goes back there?
I don't know what it is you have to do, but you have to send a message to Darnell Nurse that your play has not been good enough and you are not taking responsibility for it.
Well, wait a minute. Is this about the Spectre comment again?
It does. Yes. You're an assistant captain. You wear an
Do you
A.
think
You're
Darnell
a leader
Nurse
in the
doesn't
locker
know
room.
he played poorly?
He probably does. But like the first step to admitting you have a problem, or the first step to fixing a problem, is admitting that you have a problem. The first step to playing better is going, hey, man, I haven't been playing well enough. Because you have to put it out there that like, yeah, I haven't been playing well enough. I'm taking responsibility for the fact that I haven't been playing well enough. And then people hold you accountable. Because if you just have your head in the sand and like, oh, well, yeah, things are tough. What are we doing?
Well, what we're doing is we're taking one moment in time at a media avail after a game.
When's the last time you remember Darnell Nurse taking accountability for his poor play?
You're taking the media avail after a game and you're making it his whole career. I think that, with respect, is unfair.
When's the last time he took accountability for his poor play?
I don't follow the press conferences like you do, so you tell me.
Long time ago, man.
Okay.
He's been bad all season.
He's had a very poor year, and he had a good year last year. It was very good last year, but this year has not been a good year. So when we talk about Darnell Nurse and punishing him, I blanch at that because I think that he's a veteran and he's a leader, and he has to know that he has to be better. I think if you have people who are your core group and they're not playing well, I think you have to allow for the opportunity for them to turn it around. It has been very difficult for Darnell Nurse. He hasn't played well this year.
He's had all season. He's had a number of different pairings.
I understand he has, but number one, I didn't do it. It's not my doing it. But you, Josh, you don't have an option. You don't have anybody else. Like this is us.
Yeah.
So Darnell Nurse has to play better because the other left defensemen are Spencer Stastny, who's a real new guy, and then Matthias Ekholm, who I think is not 100%. So the options, the alternatives are not there. So maybe you could move Wallman over, but Nurse has to play a lot of minutes. He played a ton of minutes in a game he was not playing well, and he did it because that was the ask of the coach. So I think the coach probably believes in him.
I got a fun one for you guys. Which Oilers defenseman do you think has the worst goals against per 60 this season?
Among the regulars?
Yeah.
I want to say Darnell bad.
Because somebody out there played like 7 minutes.
850 minutes on the season. It's of the regulars, yeah.
850 minutes only?
Kulak?
No. Are you counting Kulak? Well, are you talking about current Oilers defensemen? Because I would say the top pair or the top line for the Oilers has scored 75 goals and allowed 74. So I'd say like Matthias Ekholm.
It is Matthias Ekholm.
Yeah. Genius puck knower.
So So Ekholm's got the worst goals against per 60.
Yep.
But we're mad at Nurse.
You know what's funny? He's at 3.50. Nurse is at 3.49. And the goals for per 60, Matthias Ekholm 3.88, Darnell Nurse 2.4.
Yeah, but that's who he's playing with, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The
Just an interesting little tidbit.
The Edmonton Oilers right now are a team that I'd love to say to you, Ty Emberson is going to move up. And I like Ty Emberson, or Spencer Stastny is going to turn up. And I like him. But the way the roster is, because of the no movement clauses, is the third pair is the cheapest good pairing as they can come up with. And I like those guys. But the top four, Ekholm, Nurse, Bouchard, Wallman, have to play. And if in recent days we've been told that the team is checked down from, God, I'm going late, checked down from needing a forward to needing a right-handed defenseman. If Ekholm is hurt, then moving Wallman over and acquiring a right-handed defenseman is probably the way to go.
At what point is it just like, maybe he's just declining because he's 35? Like that,
I understand,
you know,
but they still have to factor that in.
For sure.
If he's
For
going to
sure.
be a third pair guy, you got to have somebody else. Wallman, Nurse would have to take over the left side on the top two pairings. On the way, Jason Gregor, Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Edmonton's only 24-hour-a-day sports radio station can be heard anytime, anywhere. Sports 1440 is streaming on your phone, your tablet, your computer. Download an app today and listen to Sports 1440.
Who's that working on the underground utilities over there? All Star Construction, that's who. What about the street lighting? Yep, All Star Construction. And the directional drilling, hydrovacuum, neighborhood renewal, and telecommunication work? Yep. Since 2009, All Star Construction has been doing all that and more, shaping and building Edmonton communities for land developers all around Edmonton. That's what All Star Construction is all about.
The job won't wait. Why should you? At AWS Welding Supplies and Repairs, conveniently located in Nisku, we've got everything you need to get it done. From product sales to servicing and calibrating machines, we're your one-stop shop. We're a proud, locally owned and operated business, committed to serving our community with a proven track record of customer service. Don't let a broken tool slow you down. We offer fast repairs and free same-day delivery of in-stock items to Leduc, Nisku, and South Edmonton. AWS Welding. We make it happen.
Oh, Canada. Jiffy Lube is here to keep you moving through mornings like these. Full synthetic oil changes, quality Pennzoil products, tire checks, battery tests, and everything else your car needs to get through our winters. Stop by Jiffy Lube for fast, easy, warranty-approved service. No appointment, no hassle. Just dependable service right when you need it. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving through this. Invest for today and tomorrow. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your income tax, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams. Whether it's retirement or your first home, the deadline to qualify for 2025 tax deductions is March 2nd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
123, it's the Lowdown on Sports 1440, presented by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out, wolfgmcbuick.com. In studio, we have Jason Krueger with the, is that like a longshoreman's hat there? Or
just a toque, Al. It's a little chilly.
What is it, green? I'm colorblind.
Yes,
so.
it is green.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like to keep up with the trends.
Attaboy.
You were down, obviously, talking to some folks today. Got some great information, tweeted out some of it. I'm sure there'll be lots of talk on the Jason Krueger show starting at 2:00 today. What I kind of picked up was that Matthias Ekholm has moved to a different pairing. They're just trying something new because the top four, quite frankly, in 2 of the 3 games out in California weren't great.
Yeah, they've switched up really all 3 D pairs. And now I've seen this happen before in practice, and then they don't play it that way. But so that's why we asked Knobloch, and he did admit that, there'll be some new looks. Now, he didn't commit to all 3 new looks, but you had Wallman with Bouchard, you had Nurse with Emberson, and you had Ekholm with Spencer. And I know people are freaking out, second pair, third pair. I don't really think it's going to matter. I don't think suddenly Matthias Ekholm is going to be playing way less minutes than other guys. I just think, because you got to look at power play and who plays together coming out of a power play shift and stuff like that anyway, right? Because if Bouchard's on the number 1 unit for the first time, then Ekholm doesn't get on the power play, or maybe he gets 10 seconds afterwards and then he plays with Nurse, right? And then they come out with a different pair after that anyway. So we'll see how it's deployed in the game. But if you listen to the coach and you listen to the GM today, the clear message is we think our team is good. We think that we need to be better commitment from defense, forwards, and goaltenders to play better within themselves. The goalies have to be better, but guys in front of them have to be better, which I think is fair. Like if you look at that San Jose game, like obviously the first goal, going out to get your stick, you got to make sure Hyman has it. At the same time, Hyman had the puck with no one around him, then he just chipped it and flipped it out. Basically, it's just a giveaway.
No.
So, it's a combination. Usually there's multiple errors on a goal against, but like you can't score as many goals as the Oilers have lately. In their last 10 games, they lead the NHL in goals with 44.
No.
Problem is they lead the NHL in goals against with 46. So that's why the record is what it is. And but the whole in the division, because Vegas has really struggled out against top teams. 6 wins in 26 games against playoff teams.
That's god awful.
And 14 of their final 22 are against playoff teams. And now Mark Stone is out. Now they listed as day-to-day, which that could be week to week. Who knows how long it's going to be? It might just be in an oblique or whatever it is. But you lose him. Like they got Buffalo, the hottest team in the NHL next, and then they got Detroit, who's playing. They're like the 5th best team in the NHL. So they've got like a stretch of lots of good teams here, Colorado and others. So if the Oilers could find out a way to get any sort of consistency, because after the Ottawa game, Al, look who the Oilers play.
Oh yeah, they're
Carolina, Colorado,
It's a
Dallas,
load.
right? Minnesota. So they got 4 in a row after that are tough on themselves.
The play that I don't know why it irritated me. I guess maybe I just Wallman has the puck. I know it's on the penalty kill, and he tries to dish it to the goalie instead of like turn around and just fire that damn thing, right? Like that was just a monstrous play.
Yeah. Well, you look at McDavid on the game-winning goal too, right? Like the Oilers have made some really glaring defensive errors across the board.
Yeah.
Right. And it's guys who play the most minutes. Like before the break, everyone's like, oh my God, the depth players have scored. And then more importantly, they're not getting scored on.
Yeah.
So lately, if you look at these 3 losses, it comes at all your big minute eaters. Look at how many goals against that the top 2 lines have been on against for, and the top 4 defense. Like, I'm sorry. Those are the guys. And usually they're the ones who impact the game positively, or in this case, negatively. But when everybody and that's why I've argued, bottom offense, got to get more offense. No, Edmonton needs to reduce goals against. This is the same topic year after year. Edmonton can always score.
No.
Right? And people thought, they're not going to score after 10 games because they had a slow October. Well, yeah, look at what happened. Offense is never the issue. It's defense, and it's a commitment to defense. They've done it for about 20 games this year, and now let's see if they can do it again.
So lots of interesting movement. Obviously, Mangiapane, Regula waived yesterday. They've cleared Matthias Janmark, LTIR. They call up Szymanski and Howard. A lot of movements. What it means basically is they have a little bit of room here at the deadline because of the Janmark LTIR.
Yeah. So what'll happen here? Szymanski stays up. I don't think Howard stays up.
Okay.
Right. I think that that was done purely for the recapture. For anybody who doesn't understand it, and don't, that's not me being offensive to you, because most of us didn't understand it either. So it's a weird rule. I'm not even sure why the rule's still in place, to be honest. But
Gary,
if you're in LTIR and you want to call up a player who has bonuses in their contract, even though they're not going to hit the bonus, then they come up as a cap hit of them, their base plus their bonus. So Szymanski would have been a 1.462. Howard would be a 1.6. But because they're not in LTIR, because they haven't put Janmark on it yet, they recall those guys. Now they count as their base salary. $975 in the case of Szymanski, and I'm not even sure if Howard's the same thing. $975. I don't even know his number off the top of my head. But either way, and now if you then put Janmark onto LTIR, anybody who's on your roster, all their bonuses stay captured in kind of like their own silo, if you want to call it that. So now they're in there, and even if you send Howard back down and then you recall him later, his bonuses are already in the silo. Right. So he'll just revert to what he was now and no bonuses. So that's why they do it. It's smart maneuvering. It gets Szymanski up, and I fully expect Szymanski to stay here. I don't think Howard will. Like, just look at the Oilers roster.
Sure.
Who are you going to take out to play Ike Howard?
No, you're not. It's
you're not taking
Henrique
out
or Lazar would have to be,
right?
But you're not going to do that.
But why? Well, Henrique's a center, so no chance. And why am I taking out Trent Frederick? He's probably played his most consistent 3 straight games for the Edmonton Oilers. And but then you got Kapanen, you got Podkolzin, and Matt Savoy's got 6 points in 3 games.
Yeah.
You know, Jack Roslovic, Nugent, like none of them are coming out. So Howard, I'll be curious. Maybe he gets a day on the roster to get a little extra paycheck for one day, like 10 times as much.
Yeah. But
I don't expect him here at all.
So, Jason, we're at a point now where there is some money. They've made the movements and gathered some LTIR money. They have a 2027 first, a 2026 second. I don't think anybody truly believes they're going to trade Savoy or Howard. The assets that they have, they're looking maybe for a couple of pieces. How high can they go on the depth chart? Like, can they go get something real here with what they have? Like the first round pick in 2027, does that get them a top 4 defenseman, or are we looking
at Jake Wallman?
Right.
So I don't, because remember when that pick, when they gave it up, right, is this year's pick.
Yeah.
So it was a year after. It's basically the exact same trade, right? It was Wallman and I think what was Wallman and a prospect and a 4th, I think it was, if my memory's correct. So I could easily see that there's a team out there that would take. Teams still value first round picks, even though it's going to be a late first round pick. But some teams look and say, hey, look at Toronto, look at Florida. When they made their trades last year, a year ahead of when those first round picks were happening. Now what happens?
Yeah.
So like Edmonton, I'm sure would put it as a top 10 protected pick or top 5 or something like that. But yeah, that first round pick still has some juice, because I'm interested. I know that Dallas, by putting Sagan on LTI for the rest of the year, he's done that. They can use all his money.
Sure.
So they're going to be buying.
Yeah.
Colorado gained 2.25 in the Kulak Girard. They're going to be buying.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Wild and Bill Guerin, they're buying.
Yeah.
So there's 3 teams for sure. I never rule out Tampa Bay. I never rule out Vegas as teams that are going to want to buy. I think the New York Islanders, the Detroit Red Wings are going to want to buy for sure. They've been trying to get a defenseman forever.
Yeah.
Right. And they've swung big and just never landed them. So, 8 or 9 buyers, I think, but there's probably a few more sellers now. Toronto's a seller. Heck, Florida, right? Like the one thing about Florida is I keep hearing Bobrovsky's name. And because there's some, they talked about a contract, and what Bobrovsky's looking for is a little too rich for what Florida wants to pay. So, could we see him on the move? I think Greer could get moved. I wouldn't be shocked if Evan Roderick got moved there, just because they have so many good forwards that you need to recoup some assets at some point if you're Florida. And so there's quite a few buyers here. So I don't know if, you have to blow your brains out on certain guys. I think you can get a good player. Like you got Jake Wallman for a first a year later.
Yeah.
Why can't you do the same again now?
So are we talking like an OEL or a Connor Murphy, or do you think it would be a smaller? I don't think they can afford to have another smaller defenseman guy.
Don't get a third pair. I think Ty Emerson's very good as your third pair defenseman.
No.
I have no issues with Ty Emerson. I don't think he's a top 4 yet. He might never be. You might keep growing into a number 5. Awesome. But you don't need a third pair right shot. Don't do that. Right. And unless it's like for a 5th round pick,
right?
And you're going to add 2 defensemen because you want a number 7, right? But they got Stastny. If they add someone else, then he's your number 7. So I look at Edmonton and they need a number 4 right shot defenseman. And there are some. There's Connor Murphy. There's Jonathan Kovacevic. Now I was told like White Cloud. I was all over it. I got told today I don't think Calgary's trading White Cloud.
Sure. Well, you got a nice contract.
Him, right. Now there's Dougie Hamilton if you want to swing really big, but there's a lot of money there to make a deal like that work for a right shot defenseman. And then there's Ethan Ristolainen, right? So there are different guys out that you can look at. I think for Edmonton and what they want to get. I think Connor Murphy, because he's a Penn and UFA, might cost you the least amount.
Right.
So, that could be advantageous. Stan Bowman would know him very well and the one thing that he is a very good penalty killer.
When they need that.
Yes. So that's what now Murphy or the other guys better 5-on-5. I think so. But on the penalty kill, Chicago's the best penalty killing team in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
And Murphy's right there. He plays, I think, the second most minutes amongst the defensemen by like 10 seconds. So he's basically out there all the time.
You mentioned the Islanders. That kid defenseman, man.
Schaefer.
Jason. Oh, like I've watched hockey since the 60s. Not many like that. I haven't seen many like that.
He is a very dynamic player. He's got a really good shot.
Yeah.
Like not a slap shot, but a really good snapshot.
Yeah.
I was talking to Evan Bouchard about him today, a guy who can really rip the puck and is playing very well himself. But yeah, he's pretty impressed by young Schaefer. And he's really he's changed that whole team. He impacts the game a lot, 24 minutes a night, very positive. You love his attitude, mature beyond his years. And the Islanders are now a team where it's like, hey, I'll watch the Islanders play. Because for years, the only time you watch them is see how many saves Sorokin would make. And now they still need, I think, a little bit more offense. But when you look at them in Pittsburgh and Washington battling it out for second and third in that division, it's right open for the Islanders. They had a big weekend, right? And even Columbus, because Columbus had some tough losses that now they got to really scramble to try to get back in the race. And that potentially opens up some options because there's Coyle and there's Boone Jenner.
Yeah.
And so I do think, Al, that the Oilers would like to give Szymanski here a run. Like if you listen to Stan Bowman, I don't know if you play on the show today or not, but Stan Bowman, when he spoke today, the one clear message he had was, our goalies got to play better. We need more saves than them. But it's not just our goalies. Right now, our group collectively is not playing what it takes to win games. We're trying to score. Everybody says, "Oh, they got to score lots to win." Well, yeah, they're scoring lots because they're taking a lot of risks.
Yeah,
and it's not working. And when I asked him about Szymanski, and he's like, "Do you want to give him like a long run here?" And he's like, "Yeah." The one thing about Szymanski, and it wasn't part of my question, but he went out of his way to point out he's very reliable. He doesn't take risks.
Yeah.
And guess what? He didn't get outscored. And for a bottom six guy in Edmonton, that's a big win.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see where Szymanski plays. I won't be shocked if he's their 3C tomorrow.
Well, that'll be excellent to watch. Before we talk about the show, I just want, how much of your show will be devoted to the devastating news that the Maple Leafs won't make the playoffs this year?
Well, Al, people are obviously behind the times. We talked about this last week. The Leafs were making the playoffs. That was pretty obvious, but it is they're definitely out. I actually talked to some guys in Toronto, and you know what? Covering a team in what I call the death march.
Yeah.
And trust me, I had a lot of experience. I did it for 10. We did it for 12 out of 13 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of those years, the death march started in December.
Yeah.
Sometimes November. It was brutal. So it's no fun for anybody. Fans don't like it. People don't like it. The only sports talk radio does like it because guys like to try to solve problems. So they'll have lots of decisions. I'm curious to see what they're going to do, who they're going to move out of Toronto at the deadline. And then but are you going to allow Friedliman to be the guy who runs the deadline, but then he's not going to be here in the summer? I've never understood that.
No, I agree with you.
So now maybe someone above him, but is Keith Pelly, like I was looking it up, Al. So if you look at, because now, Roger's taking more control of that team.
Yeah.
Right. With the sale.
Yeah.
That, do they need that many presidents? Right. Like does Keith Pelly, like honestly, like Shapiro oversees a lot of the business side of the whole Rogers. So would they look and say, do we need a guy just dedicated to hockey, or are we going to hire other hockey people? And then, so if he's not there, who's really in charge? What's the direction of the organization? Like, I think there's lots of questions in Toronto that go above even the head coach and the GM.
Yeah. That whole infrastructure of the Toronto Maple Leafs has always been wonky, going back 70 years. So, all right, what's coming up on the show?
Well, Kevin Woodley will be by. We'll talk goaltending, of course, because Ottawa, man, you want to talk about a team that goaltending has let them down. There's no team that's been let down by goaltending more than the Ottawa Senators. If you look at a lot of their analytics and shots of pressure and everything else, it's pretty damn good until you look at the goalies. And then it's like, ugh, awful. And then Carolina's in town. So a light week for the Oilers with only 2 games, which, maybe benefits them, I think, coming out 3-4. like have some practice time. It's definitely beneficial for McDavid. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So you get regrouped because then they got 4 tough games coming up on the road. And that's really their last tough stretch. The 4 and 6, that's it. After that, the Oilers pretty smooth sailing on their schedule. We will talk a little baseball out.
Oh, good.
Because, the World Cup of baseball
it's going to be fun.
Is going to be fun. And but a lot of hockey talk for sure right now. Trade talk. We'll go around. We'll preview a few teams. I think we're going to Dallas maybe today because the Stars, trust me, the Sagan announcement, they are in. And they got a big sign open for business now. For
it's great. It's a great time of year. Yes. Beautiful spring day.
Buddy. Well, you know what? Hey, it's I don't mind light snow.
No,
I don't mind it at all. And it's not that cold. No. Like this is ideal weather temperature for me. I don't mind this. The road isn't too sloppy.
No.
So, and I try to not look at the Weather Network anymore. I'm just like, I'll wake up, play it by the day. Because because sometimes it says it's minus 25 and then you get up and it's minus 16. I'm like, well, why? Now
it's a
very
completely
little positive
different world.
for it.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Thanks, Jason. Look
one.
forward to it. All right. On the way, Declinations. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business. And for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
McValue meals are here. Get the McD's you love for $5 plus tax every day with your choice of a McDouble, Junior Chicken, or Chicken Snack Wrap with small fries and small fountain drink. All for just $5 plus taxes. Canadian restaurants. Product availability varies. Prices exclude delivery.
For many families, the stress of divorce can throw your life out of balance. The loss of a relationship, ongoing conflict, mounting legal bills, and uncertainty about the future can feel overwhelming. Hi, I'm Corey Anderson with Fairway Divorce Solutions. At Fairway, our team helps you restore balance through mediation, negotiation, and a unique step-by-step process. With 2 offices in Edmonton dedicated to serving your needs, our goal is simple: to help you navigate a path back to peace and clarity. Visit us today at Fairway Divorce.
You see it? Fusion Promo Marketing can make it. Fusion makes high-quality, memorable promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. From vision to reality, get noticed and remembered. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
Painstaking. They're breaking down the middle. Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's the Lowdown, 142 on Sports 1440 and YouTube. Brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out, wolfgmcbuick.com. Some reports of some movement on Connor Murphy. We'll find out on the Krueger Show today, starting at 2 o'clock. It's time for Declinations, brought to you by Fairway Divorce Solutions. The clear road to a new life. There is a better way. Fairwaydivorce.com. Young Declan.
All right, I'll make this quick because I'm sure we all want to talk Connor Murphy. One quick one, Mac. Not a big deal. We do generally play Mamma Mia here. No worries, though. I know Lowetide's a little If he heard what I was saying right now, he'd be a little more up in arms about it than I am. But
It's fine. It's fine. I've heard the song before.
Yeah, I do want to talk Conor Murphy, so I'll make this quick, but a lot going on. Okay, UFC this past weekend, Brandon Moreno, unbelievable what he was able to do after getting cut from the UFC on a 2-fight losing streak. He comes back, he wins the title, becomes champion. He stops Davison Figueiredo twice. Unreal career. He's now 2-4 in his last 6, I believe, in this loss against an unranked guy in Loner Kavanaugh. He also was coming off a KO loss in the second round against a guy in Charles Johnson who's not all that great. Couple unanimous decision wins before that. It's not a great look for Brandon Moreno. He's had an incredible career. The fact he was able to get cut, like I said, come back and become champion, unbelievable job. His time at the fair probably over. And Loner, I don't know if I view this guy as a real contender. Like I said, he got knocked out the fight before this, but unbelievable performance, unanimous decision victory. Got the performance of the night bonus, well deserved. Chito Vera, 4-fight losing streak. That's not great. I kind of got an undeserved title shot. That will probably, unfortunately, that and knocking out Sean O'Malley be the peak of his career. Probably downhill from here. Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway this weekend. This is what everyone who says they're a UFC fan but isn't actually, because they don't like grappling or don't like wrestling. Now, Charles Oliveira is probably the best grappler the UFC's ever seen, but this type of fight is the fight that people like when they have it on at the background in the bar, when they're hanging out with friends, then they're like, oh yeah, I love UFC. This is the type of fight they're talking about. These are two all-action fighters. The BMF title is going to be on the line. They're going to bring intensity. They're going to bring a tremendous skill set between the both of them. Two guys who have fought before like a decade ago in Saskatoon, actually, funny enough. And yeah, it is a fan favorite fight. This one was put on for the fans. The rest of the card isn't really that strong. You got a couple, fun fights or whatever, Drew Dober, Michael Johnson. But that one is like, if you're just a fight fan who loves good, like action packed, like fun, I want to have a couple beers with my friends type thing, this is the fight for you. That's this Saturday. I'm really, really, really looking forward to Max and Charles, and I love them both. Who doesn't?
Oliveira means olive tree. Does he move better than an olive tree?
He moves pretty well on the ground. He's a little stiff on his feet. Eats a lot of punches.
Like
doesn't love being hit. Right. Some guys like react really, really poorly to being hit. Jack Hermanson was one of them. I've never seen a guy who hates being hit as much as him. Oliveira, he's kind of like that. He doesn't like being hit either. But on the ground, he is like water. Bruce Lee said, "Be water, be water." That's Charles Oliveira on the ground. Those Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu exchanges. Then Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao announced. 49 years old and 47 years old. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I wish I could go a little bit more into this. Maybe instead of Hi, my name is tomorrow, I'll talk about it some more there. But yeah, listen, Elliot just came down with the Conor Murphy news. I think we should probably talk a little Conor Murphy. So yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll dip into this a little bit more.
Elliot Friedman reporting 15 minutes ago, hearing talks are intensifying for Edmonton to acquire Conor Murphy from Chicago. I always go immediately to Puck IQ because it breaks down the quality of competition. And Murphy, there are some really good numbers here, just so you know, relative numbers to his teammates. Against mid-level and the soft parade, he's about 5% better than the rest of the Chicago roster. It's a poor roster. He's at 46% goal share overall. Doesn't play a lot against elites, which would tell me that he may not spend all of his time on the second pair. 204 minutes against elite competition, has a dangerous Fenwick of 34% against them. And Chicago's not a great team, so these numbers are probably skewed in a negative way. But he is much better against middle, basically 50% against middle and softer parade, which means that Murphy, as a right defenseman on a third pair, I think could play well, maybe even on a second pair at times, but they might have to shelter it a little bit. You may recall when Duncan Keith and Evan Bouchard played together with Edmonton, they were sort of like the second pair that was also a third pair. And it was Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci at that time who were asked to do the heavy lifting against elite competition in a big way, a monstrous number that year. Murphy is a veteran, a great penalty killer. He's physical. He's a big guy. And I think that if you watch the Oilers, the idea of having somebody who's maybe able to physically move out the slot area or win a battle along the wall is an area that you might want to look at. It does change the feel of the team, and you'd want him to be with a puck-moving defender, and we'll see how that looks. But if this is, in fact, the case, Gregor was on this a week ago, I believe, and he'll have more for you coming up next hour. But thoughts initially on Connor Murphy?
His shots against per 60 are pretty. It's decent little number, 29.0. That's right around John Carlson and Zach Werenski. Now he's not creating shots for per 60. He's at like 18.3, which is really low. But yeah, no, he was a name that was brought up. Listen, you're not going to go out and get Mo Sider, okay? So when you're looking at the pool of available players, it's a little what's the phrase? Beggars can't be choosers.
His shots against per 60 is the best on the Blackhawks, and his goals against per 60 at 2.4 is second to. Well, it's actually first, based on regulars. And
I'm seeing his goals against per 60 3.1 on all strengths.
Yeah, I always go 5 on 5.
I know, yeah. 5 on 5, okay.
To me, 5 on 5 it's not fair, because if he penalty kills a lot, then he's going to be on the ice for a lot of goals.
And
right?
he's not really a guy who you can point to the power play as someone who's going to bump up his numbers. So.
Based on the numbers, this is a guy who can play. I don't know where he'll play in the lineup. He has the best expected goal share among Chicago defensemen, and he's a big man. And I'm not sure where they would slot him, but it does allow Jake Wallman maybe to go back onto the left side. I don't know how that'll work, but that could be an option. He could spend more time on there. And it probably means that a player like Regula, if he's not traded in the deal, will be spending his time in Bakersfield for the rest of the year and then serving as some kind of insurance against injury, which, man, when it comes to defensemen, you always have to have that. Now, he's in terms of foot speed, his max skating speed is 32 per hour. The average of the NHL is 34.7. So he's less than average. But defensemen who are this size and can play, Murphy has figured out how to position himself and how to close gaps and how to be in a particular area effectively. So it's not as dangerous as it might be for somebody who's younger and less experienced. Do we have any update, or is that still hearing that? We had waiver news. Be nice to have 2 pieces of news today before we leave the show.
No update.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Josh. I was at the Saskatoon fight, says Mike from Kindersley. It was a great one.
Yeah, I think Mike's actually misremembering, unfortunately. That fight ended 1 minute and 30 seconds into the first round. Freak neck injury for Charles Oliveira.
But maybe he just had ordered 5 beer and everybody left and he got to drink them all.
I'm trying to think if the UFC went to Saskatoon after that, because that fight would have been like 2015. And yeah, like I said, if you go back and watch the video, Charles Oliveira, he walks backwards towards the cage holding his neck, waves Max Holloway off, then kind of goes down.
All right.
So
good memory, man.
It's a pretty famous clip, because like when Charles Oliveira got really good, people would kind of replay that one and be like, look where he's come from.
Are we collecting Connors again from Nate L? Well, there's Ingram. Any other Connors on the Oilers? Connor Ingram.
Clattenburg, like Josh said.
Right, Clattenburg. McDavid, of course. I'm teasing. Was Chicago one of the teams that needed money on the books for next season to reach the cap floor? Maybe. I'm obviously thinking about maybe Mangiapane as an option. It's not a bad idea, actually. Do you ever wonder what the folks who text in to our show are like doing? Are they at their desk listening to the show and then texting in? What do we think?
I think there's a lot of guys driving around in trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blackhawks like 12 million over the floor, by the way.
Okay.
I have a lot of
Thank you.
family that are like farmers and oil field workers.
Yeah.
And
Oil field
they
workers,
all
good shout.
listen in their vehicles all day.
Do
They just have it on.
do they back into stalls, your family?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Never pull in, always back in.
Even if you're in like the mall parking lot and there's a mom with their little baby in a stroller.
Yeah, I would assume they back in.
I
I'm
don't back
guessing.
in. I pull through because there's no cars in the morning. So it looks like I've backed in.
That makes you lazy and cool.
Correct.
I can back in, but I haven't in ages. And I was talking about a car, not cribbage, whatever the hell it might mean in cribbage, you jack-o'-lanterns.
You're the only one here that knows cribbage terms, Al.
And boy, do I. So this is from, oh my God, Jay Fresh. Does a lot of good analytics work. Connor Murphy, reportedly acquired by Edmonton, is a stay-at-home defenseman. Size, physicality, aggressive approach to defending, especially along the walls in front of the net. Can make a breakout pass, but spends very little time with the puck. Pretty nice little player card there. Interesting. The Oilers may have made a move. You'll come on the Jason Krueger show. They've acquired another Connor. I think that's an entire line of Connors that would be possible when they call up Clattenburg. Please enjoy your day. Thanks so much for tuning into the Lowdown.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Sean Cunningham of Remax Real Estate. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in Edmonton, call or text Sean directly at 780-265-0165. There are 6 games in the NHL tonight. Detroit is currently up 3-2 on Nashville at the end of the second. Toronto looks to bounce back against Philly. Stars are in Vancouver. Kraken hosts the Hurricanes. Kings and Avalanche have the nightcap. 4 games in the association. Rockets and Washington tip off at 5. Boston takes on Milwaukee. Jazz hosts the Nuggets. Warriors and Clippers have the late slate. The MLB will expand its spring breakout of games involving top prospects into a tournament next year when the big league exhibition schedule could be impacted by a possible lockout. In the NFL offseason reports, the Detroit Lions have traded running back David Montgomery to the Houston Texans for a 5th-round pick, splitting up their backfield duo of Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Texans have also agreed to a trade for starting right tackle Titus Howard to the Cleveland Browns for a 5th-round draft pick. Howard will receive a 3-year, $63 million extension from the Browns. Next on Sports 1440, The Jason Krueger Show, I'm Mackenzie, and that's your Sports 1440 update.